Gigi is back from her time off, and this is one of the first times that I rode her after she came back. And as you'll see in the video, a lot of her maneuvers she's actually better at with the time off, which happens pretty regularly. That's a big part of why horses need time off once in a while. But one of the things that kind of backed up while she was gone is her softness in her face. And you'll see me working that kind of throughout this video, trying to get her softer in her face and giving her, bringing her nose in to her chin, bringing her chin into her chest a little bit, and giving to my hands laterally. Here I'm just walking her around, I am working my hands a little bit, trying to get her chin to come in. You'll see her ears go up and come down, and her head's kind of moving around a little bit. And I'm just kind of giving little squeezes with each hand, seeing if I can just soften her face a little bit. Right there, see how when I steered off to the right, her head come up? That's what I'm talking about. There I'm working my hands a little bit, trying to get her chin in. And the reason this is so important is because when the nose is out, then that inverts the back and the shoulders start to get heavy. And by bringing the chin in, that helps to round the back and the horse starts to step better. And when the chin is out and the horse is heavy on its front end, then it doesn't use its back end as efficiently. So it's real important that I try to get her a little bit softer in my hands. Parts of this here you see comes along pretty nice. And then parts of it she just kind of sticks her nose out and gets really heavy. I had just gotten on her here, and I'm just kind of walking around, moving her around, getting her warmed up a little bit, moving her feet, and using my warm-up time to ask her face to get soft. Now you see it's starting to get a little bit softer there, starting to get nicer. But you'll see as I ask her to do a little bit more, it's going to kind of fall apart too. I have used a German martingale on her quite a few times. This has kind of been an ongoing thing with her, is her stiffness in her face. And I have used a German martingale on her before, and I'm sure I will again. But I don't have it on her here. I believe all I have on her here is just a low port grazing bit. It just has a little small port, doesn't really have a whole lot, unbroken mouth. I do a lot of this face softening walking these circles. That way I can more work one rein, work my inside rein, or work my outside rein. And the bend helps to kind of break the horse's leverage loose so the horse doesn't have an advantage. It's a lot easier with a green horse to do it in circles like this, where if you're working in a straight line and you're trying to drive the horse straight onto the bit, and then you're working more both hands at the same time and both legs, and it's harder for a horse to comprehend. It's harder for a horse to get. By working these circles, it's a little bit easier for the horse to understand what you're asking for. When I'm working the face like that, I'm giving a little touch with hands, but I'm also using a lot of leg. The leg helps to lift the back. The hands will move the face around, but the leg helps to lift the back. So even though you see my hands moving, working the face, pay attention to my legs too. My legs are doing a lot. the legs are doing just as much and really a more important part. Later, when Gigi is finished, I want to be able to squeeze her with my legs, and that cue actually bring her chin in. Just like the cues that I've talked about with Ray and Hank, where I start controlling their face with my legs. And this is the beginning of that here. So when I'm going to make contact with Gigi's face, I'm actually going to squeeze with my legs first. And when I squeeze with my legs and then go to my hands, then she's going to understand that that bit contact is going to be coming, and she'll start to respond and bring her nose in just off of my legs. Now you see she's bringing her nose up, and what's happening is I'm squeezing with my legs, and then the squeeze is when she's kind of pushing her nose up and forward. She has to start to bring her nose in on the squeeze with the legs. Now I picked up a trot, worked the exact same thing as at a trot. Now, at this point, I don't really care how high or low her ears are. I want her to bring her chin in, and you're going to see her behind vertical a good bit. And at this point, I don't really worry about her being behind vertical. That's going to correct itself later. Getting behind vertical at this point is a matter of evading the bit, just like pushing their nose out. A lot of people really panic when they start to see a horse get behind vertical at this stage, and in actuality, for the Western horses I train, it's really a non-issue. Getting behind vertical is really no different than sticking nose out. It's just a way of trying to avoid what you're asking them to do. You just keep asking for the correct movement. Keep asking for the back to lift. Now we're starting to get pretty nice here. She's bringing her nose in, dropping her ears off of my legs. My hands are able to be a little bit quieter. There, her nose poked out. I'm going to see if I can get it back in. Squeeze with my legs, work my hands a little bit. There, it's coming back in. And notice I didn't panic. I didn't try to make it come in immediately. If you get too hard too quick, then you're just going to get in a fight. When her nose goes up really high, I'll go into a little bit of a, you don't really see it, but it's a little bit more of a leg yield where I'm asking more with the inside hand and the inside leg to bring the nose back in then. That way it's a little more one side, not as much with both hands, and it's easier for them to understand what I'm asking for these green horses. A finished horse would know, but in that situation it's easier to recover with a green horse when you just ask with the inside hand and the inside leg. Here I'm pushing her out into a little bit faster trot, asking for more engagement in the back end. A lot harder here. Stay collected into a collected extended trot. I did a video, I think it was earlier this year, just on how valuable this collected extended trot is. You're in an extended trot asking the legs to extend and stretch out the stride, but you also want to collect at the same time. Right there I fussed at her face because she was really pushing on me hard, and we'll go back the other way. I believe here I asked her to roll back against the fence a couple of times, using her body. It's going to be really hard to do rollbacks from this extended trot, but she needs to use her body correctly, needs to be able to learn how to do that, and she can. She just has to try. Bring her nose in. This is really hard maneuver to stay in that frame in an extended gait. Now roll back against the fence and go on again. Now she kind of kicked her hip out after that rollback. The stop wasn't too bad. Got her hip in the ground. She stuck her nose up in the air. That's more of that front end that I need to work on. Right there, she kind of stuck, so I went her back around the other way. But instead of bringing her front end around, she stopped, put all her weight on her front end and kicked the back end around. That's all related to heavy on the front end, heavy on my hands, and not lifting the back. The wrong lead there. Let's fix our lead. There we go. Getting more push, and getting more speed, more push from the back end. That helps to lift the back. See how she kind of keeps falling out of her lope? That's all from not pushing enough with the back end. She lost some of her fitness when she was gone, had her time off. We'll work and get that back. But a lot of that loss of fitness is why she's falling out of her lope, and it's why she's wanting to get her nose out. Just have to keep working through that. Now, when she had left, before she had her time off, I had just started working on a collected lope. So I wouldn't expect that to be real good right here because I had just started working on it. But now she's starting to move a little freer here. Get a little bit more forward. That's looking a little bit better. And it's time to start working on a little bit of that collected lope. But you have to have forward. You have to have the back end pushing. That's really important for all of these collected gaits. Really, anything you ask the horse to do, you need the back end pushing. Again, I didn't like how she pushed out with her back end. You see how she trotted out in that quick trot? That needs to get better. She needs to push better off that right hind. You see she's not moving as free this direction in her lope as she was the other direction. And pushed. That wasn't too bad, but she left her right shoulder kind of stuck out. Left her shoulder out, so I'm moving the shoulder around. Bring her nose there, bring her nose in. It's all about position. There we go. So in that, the last couple stops I did, you notice I would come to a stop and she was kind of locking on her front end and bringing her back end around. So I'm just moving her front end around a little bit, asking her to stay soft. All of these movements, they're actually pretty good. That back was good, the spin is good, but she has to be softer on my hand. She has to do it, but be softer. The amount of contact that I'm feeling in my hands is more than what I'd want to feel. As long as she's putting this amount of contact, I'm going to be limited on how advanced I can make everything. Right there, nose went up. I'm working my hands and my legs there, trying to get her nose down and in while we're stepping around. I'm not really trying to get that any faster because it's not very correct. I'm trying to get her face in a better position. I need to be able to step around in that spin and work her face at the same time so that I can help her with her body position while we're stepping around in a spin. That's all that softness that I'm talking about. She has to get softer or much softer so that I can help her with her body position through that maneuver. Our plan for Gigi is to show her National Reining Horse Association, and most of her training videos I'm posting on my Patreon site, Tim Anderson Horse Training on Patreon. And if you'd like to subscribe there so that you can follow along with the more precise training techniques that I'm using on her to get her to that caliber, that's where you'll find most of those videos. And she's coming along really nicely. And also, I'm posting all of my live training audios from my Thursday live trainings on the Spotify. So I have a Spotify podcast where I'm posting those audios where I'm talking about different training topics and answering different questions. And those are about an hour long, so it's kind of hard to sit and watch on YouTube sometimes. So they're on Spotify, so you can listen to those in your car when you're driving. That's Tim Anderson Horse Training. So I'll be posting more videos of Gigi, of her training. Until next time, thank you for watching.